does suffering and enjoyment have any bearing on the previous life and deeds of present life? Does suffering and enjoyment have any bearing on the previous life and deeds of present life? You're talking about reincarnation, aren't you? And also that's implied the word karma, cause and effect. Karma, I've been told, the root meaning of that word is action. May we go into this question seriously? Want to go into it? Not the others have not been serious. What is action? Action means to be acting, right? Not I have acted or will act. Action means now, right? Action implies, for most people, a past remembrance, a motive, or a future intention, or future ideal, and so on. Either the past is directing, shaping the action, or the future shaping the action, right? So that's not action. I wonder if you see this. Right? Action means the doing, active present. But the active presence is denied when you have a motive, a cause for action, and a future action. So you're really, when you depend on the future or on the past, you are not acting. I wonder if you see this. For most of us, acting is based on memory, on a motive. Let's be quite clear and honest about it. I flatter you because I want something out of you. I love you because you have given me something. And so on. We play this game. Now, the questioner asks, have I lived on this earth before? And because I haven't done things properly last life, therefore I'm suffering now. And if I understand what is right action now, next life I have a better chance, a better house, a better wife, better refrigerators. Now, this is really a very serious question. I don't know if we should go into this. What is this self? What is the I that says I must continue? That there is a continuity from the past through the present to the future. That's one thing. Then the other is the cause. Cause, effect, which is part of karma. I have sown certain seed, good or bad, and that flowers, smells bad or good, and the effect is that. Now, is cause permanent? And the effect also permanent? Or the effect becomes the cause. Right? And that has another effect, which then becomes the cause. So causation is a movement. Right? I wonder if you understand. It's rather interesting to go into it very carefully. The cause is I suffer from disease, one of the causes. I suffer, suppose I have bad stomach because I've eaten wrong food, drank too much, and so on. So, if I don't eat properly, the effect is pain. Then I say that pain must be controlled. I take a pill, but the cause still goes on because I'm eating wrong food. So there is the continuity of cause and a superficial effect, right? But if I see the cause as eating wrong food and change it, the effect is health. Health is not a result, it is living properly. I don't know if you follow all this. Logically, it is all this. So, the cause is never permanent, or the effect. The effect becomes the cause. And so it's a change, it's a movement. And the question really there is, if you're interested, can this movement stop? You understand? This movement, which is cause, effect, effect becoming cause, and so on. And this movement is of time, naturally. Right? So I'm asking, is the causation, need there be any causation for action? Right? Oh, so sleepy. Is there an action per se for itself, not for something? To understand that, I have to go into the question of reward and punishment. The human being lives on this principle, reward and punishment, like all animals do. Right? If you have had a dog, you reward him when he does something properly. When you say, come to heel, and you gradually train him through reward and punishment. Giving him a biscuit when he comes, and you don't give him a biscuit when he doesn't. So he learns that to depend on reward and punishment. And then gradually he says, come to heel, he does. You follow? And on the same principle we work. I haven't done properly this life, or past life, I'm paying for it now. But next life, I'll be rewarded if I behave properly. Right? So it's reward and punishment, same principle. Now, can you act, live without a motive, without this principle of reward and punishment? Go into it, see what are the implications of it. Not reincarnation, we'll go into that later. That's a very trivial matter. At least for the speaker. It's not, I won't go into it now. Because one has to go into this question. What is continuity? What is ending? And what is it that continues? You understand? These three things are implied, which takes some time to go into. We'll do it in the next two talks. So we're asking, is there action without cause? Go into it, see extraordinarily interesting it is. Not just whether you believe in reincarnation, that's rather silly. But to find out an action which has no cause, which has no motive, which has no self-interest. If there is self-interest, it's limited. If there is a motive, it is still further limitation. So action is never complete. And therefore brings problems, like you're doing politically. So I'm asking, is there an action per se for itself? There is, which is love. Love has no motive. Love has no reward, no punishment. Love. When there is that quality of love, there is right action. Right action is not born out of clever thought. Right action takes place when there is this sense of holistic love. Not, I can love my wife and love mankind, because it's love. It's not love to one and deny to the others. I wonder if you understand that. That's real compassion. And when there is that compassion, there is intelligence. And that intelligence has no opposite to it.